Oh, that's actually a semi overview.
Buttons do 4 things. Each one. Hello. I'm with you today because I created a nice little simple PHP script for Muse. And I've also in another video show you how to actually make Muse support PHP without making constant changes to the published site after you're done with Muse. You don't need to go back and change your URLs to .php extensions. You don't need to go change all your files to PHP extensions. You don't need to do anything special once you do this small change on your server. Actually, not even on your server. Once you add this small file to your server, you can publish your Muse project like normal through the FTP publish menu option, and it'll work with PHP just fine. So more details of that are in my other video. Just look for it on my channel or on my website. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to mention you can take the software, you can change it, you can copy it, you can do whatever you want. However, I do really would appreciate if you could keep as much of this information intact with my credits in it. The only way I get any money off this is if people, share my videos and like my videos and draw more traffic to my channel and my site. So appreciate leaving those credits in there, but other than that, you can modify it to your needs however you like. I'd also prefer that in the spirit of giving things away, not to turn around and sell this. But you can do anything else based on the agreement here at the top. So with that being said, the first thing we're going to do is make it so Muse projects can just be published straight to your server with HTML embedded PHP code in it as an object, and your server will know what to do with it. Now I have a cPanel server. If you don't have a cPanel server, doesn't matter. You may have to check with your host to make sure they enable htaccess support and ask them to turn that on if they don't. But also you can use an FTP client to upload this. It doesn't matter. I'm going to rely on, like I said, you can watch my other videos for more details on how this works. But you also just need to, as far as making this file work, once you do this, it should just work. If not, you'll have to do some more research on that. But this should just pretty much work with quite a few of the servers out there without a problem. Most are cPanel servers. That's pretty dominant these days. So with that being said, I'm going to pop into cPanel here, and you see this code right here. I've already got it on my server, but I'll show you where it's at. So I'm in cPanel, and when you open up the file manager, okay, it's going to say show hidden files. You want to make sure that's checked. And so you'll open up the file manager and it brings you in here. We're in our public HTML folder, and here you see the htaccess file. You're going to edit it. If it doesn't exist, you're going to create it. You'll say new file and create a .htaccess file. Again, I'm kind of blowing through this part because that's not the point of this tutorial. I'm going to edit mine, and as you can see, I've already got this information. It basically is telling all HTML pages and PHP pages to be parsed just like a PHP page. I also add this so if I move things around, it redirects me to my index page. So if somebody gets to a dead link, it's not going to just a bad page. So that's all I'm going to go into that. I'll hop out of here. Okay, so that's step one. Now step two is in your Muse project. You want to cut and paste this code. Now there's a little note here, I'll go in that later. I'm going to start with the general sense of it. So you're going to take this code, and I've got this two little lines, so if you accidentally cut and paste the whole thing, I tried to make this as idiot proof as possible, but it doesn't matter, as long as if you cut from here to here or from the actual PHP code, it's going to work. So we're going to take this code just like this, and we are going to put it in your header on your Muse project. So we're going to pop into the Muse that's over on my daughter's machine. So here we're in the Muse. We're connected to my daughter's machine right now. She's the one that actually uses Muse for she makes our pages, and I'm trying to get her to learn how to do HTML stuff. So let's start with our adventures. So we can go ahead and edit this page. Now this was just a regular old page. Everything she did here manually. You know, she put the HTML objects. There's nothing special. This is just a typical Muse page. So now we're going to go, first thing we're going to do then is we're going to go into page, and we're going to go page properties, and we don't need this script I made also sets up all our tags, everything. So with that being said, we don't need to set our Facebook share, OG tags, Twitter tags, all that. I take care of it with this. I kind of made that part of the whole thing because one of the reasons I did this is I wanted to improve SEO. I could have just used a widget that would have used a JavaScript that would have put and would have put you know, all the playlist on my page just fine. But that doesn't help you with search engine optimization. All the content is really still on YouTube. All your descriptions, all your tags, all that stuff's on YouTube, and it's not going to bring any traffic to your site. It's not going to draw any ranking in the search engines at all because it's not going to be indexed. However, by making this as a PHP script, all the things you see on the page, like the descriptions of your video and such, will actually be in the HTML source, which means the search engines will see it and index it, and now this will help bring some SEO benefit, I don't know why I said SEO benefit to your site. So, but along with that, I didn't want to have to set up the OG tags and all that stuff. I made it all automatic. So we're going to take this page, and I'm going to paste that code as it was instructed in that document. Now this code is a simple, and this part is just some instructions. We'll go over that later. Again, you can cut and paste the whole thing. A lot of it I've got rimmed because it's just notes. But these are just the settings. So we got your font styles for the title. You got your description styles. You've got your playlist styles. You got your URL styles. And this is just a typical, it's just submitted as a typical style, inline style in the code. So you can change that however you want. These are just my values. Then we have your playlist ID, which you'll get off YouTube, and your default video you want it to pull up. The size of the iframe, the column width, etc. So this would apply to everything on this page because it's in this header. Now the other thing is, with this being said, you no longer have to have the description. I take care of it here, and I will explain in a moment. You don't have to. This is where I'm just putting the code in, but I'll get to that. So we've put this code on the page. So this basically sets all the values for our YouTube channel. And as I go through, and I'll make some changes as I go through a little later. So that's all set. We can keep the page name the same. That doesn't matter. The description you would leave blank. Because the description is going to be based off your default video. Now you can override all that. I'll explain why I leave it. If you still want to use your description, you can. But I'm saying you don't have to. You could leave it blank, and the code that I've given you here will create a description for you automatically. So we've now got this code in here, and it's got a little include to the actual PHP functions. Okay, so wham, that's done. Now we're going to go back to our page. So step 3 is we'll make values changes to the values, which I'm actually going to save that for last because my values already have default values for me, so I'm cool with just leaving that for the example of this. And if you look at it, you'll get the idea. But I'm going to go back to that last once I can show this to you. So Now we're going to make a folder in our HTML folder, and when I say like every server is different, on a cPanel server it's called public.html, on another server it might just be called HTML or HTML docs or htdocs or whatever. So I just use I refer to it as your HTML folder on your server. You're going to make a folder named The Johnny O Show, and you're going to put the contents of this entire file in that folder. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go back to cPanel, and we are going to make a new folder. And honestly, you could change this to whatever you want. It doesn't have to be the Johnny O Show, but you would have to edit that thing you pasted and change the folder directory. So we're going to create a folder called the Johnny O Show. Okay, and like I said, you could change this to be whatever you want. And now we want to take all this, and we can just copy all this. I would say copy the whole thing because the comment areas won't hurt you, and this way you have it always. You'll know it's always in this file for reference, and you won't have to keep a separate file somewhere. So I just say copy the entire thing, even though you don't need to copy everything. You can just copy down below where the actual code is. So we're going to go into the Johnny O Show. We're going to make a new folder. Not new folder, new file, and we are going to call it functions.php. Now we're going to edit that. And we're going to paste all this in it. So there we've got everything pasted. Now, let's go ahead and save that. And we can just continue right from this page with the instructions. So we've got it all pasted in there in a file called functions.php. You can use an FTP client to upload it. Doesn't matter how you get it. Place the following tags by inserting them in the HTML object in Muse. Any location you want on your page. So basically, this is the codes now. This is all you have to put in Muse to get the different things to show up. So for example, as I was saying, we'll go back to my daughter's computer. And if you want to, again, go to page properties. If you want to keep your own description and everything, okay, and if you want to set your own meta tags, okay, then you can just set all your own meta tags. You could keep them in there. And for example, on the main home page, I've done that. You could keep your main meta tags in here, your OG tags and all that. You don't have to use the auto-generated feature that I've given you. But if you want, you keep all your code. And now, because you have to put it below this, because this is the setup for it, we are going to put this command. And this show meta tags is the code that will generate your OG tags, your Twitter tags, your descriptions for this page based on the video. So that's how you would just automatically, wham, you've got your meta tags, automatic. So we'll go ahead and save that. Now we're going to go ahead and delete this video. And I'll let my daughter change the background picture later because that's all just. So we're going to delete that video. And we are going to insert a new object, new HTML object. And all that has to be is this show video right here. That's what shows the video. So we go. Oops. So that's the, I can't think straight. That's the PHP command to show the video. So we paste that. Couldn't see it. So it thinks for a little bit. And wham, we're going to put the video up here where we want it to be. And we know the size of our video. It's 980. The iframe is 980 for 551. So we just dropped this. Well, I don't want to rotate it. Why am I doing that? We just dragged this to be those dimensions. Now the 980 is the width of the page. big deal there. So there's 980, and we're going to go down to 551. So there we go. We now have a little anchor here where we can know this is exactly how much space is going to be used for the video. So that's where the video goes. Now let's go down here. And we want to show the video title. We want it to be here. So rather than have all this hard-coded tile that she had in here, we are going to take this. Actually, we're going to get rid of this whole box. Let me get out of here. Come on. Get rid of that whole thing. So now we're going to Object, Insert HTML, and this object is going to be Show Title. Now, okay, and there it is, hiding down there for me. Let's go ahead and bring it up. I'm going to have the title right here, and we want to allocate enough room to make that title fit. And I don't really know Muse that well yet, so what I found is I need to add, like this gray box. I'm sure there's a way to make this gray box automatically expand going down based on this, but I don't know. But that's okay. So we just know we got to have at least that much room for the title, so we're good. Now we want to do the description. So let's go ahead and put the description. So page, object, insert HTML. Show description. So now let's go ahead and we can put that description right under it. And I have the description window auto scrolling, and that's just here in, I have the height at 250. It'll scroll at 250 so it doesn't overlap and take a lot of room. So I want to make this window 250 down. So there's that line. We can see that line there. And that's 200 down. I could make it 200, so we could make it 200. That's fine. And it had the little line. There it is. There's that line. See that line? It's hard for me to see on the computer. So let's make it 200. Well, we'll make it 250 actually. That's 200 is a little low. So let's go down here to 250. Close enough. All right, so we know that's generally how big the description area is going to be. So now let's take this box and let's drag it down. And we'll try about there. Now we need to add the playlist. So, and this little guy, he's all jacked up in size because I forgot to ungroup it. So let me do that. Go back. Ungroup. And like I say, I'm not sure. I've tried this. If somebody knows how to do it, I tried grouping everything together and just make it automatically adjust the size of this gray box depending on as the size of the window, but I didn't get that to work, and I'm not sure that's just because I don't know how to do it on Muse. But let's go ahead and drag this down. There we go. So now we need to put the playlist on here. So let's go Object, Insert HTML, and there's the code for the playlist. PHP show playlist. All right. Now the playlist I have set at a column width of 200 with 4 columns. Cell padding and all that is at 0, so we could roughly say the playlist is really going to be 800 pixels wide. So we can first, let's drag this to the width we need it to be. 780, 800. And you know, the HTML code, it'll all, the reason I drag this to the size, that's a little off, it's 1 pixel off, I'm not going to worry about it, is only so I can see how to center it. See, it gives me that little center line right there. So now I know this is going to be centered. Now we want to go up. Let's go, that's a good distance from the bottom of, there we go. So that'll be centered, and we don't have to, this is the bottom of the page. I don't care. I don't need to drag this all on because I'm not going to worry about that. I know it'll fit. So that now it will be all centered. Again, this is an issue of me not knowing how to do Muse. I may change how this looks anyway. It'd be nice if I could make this size with that, but we won't worry about that for now. You need to learn how to use Muse or don't design a page like this. I'll probably just design the page differently. So there we go. So this page is now ready. We have embedded the code that actually has all the settings for, we've embedded the settings in the header for all our variables. We've uploaded the script to the Johnny O Show folder, which is the entirety of the script, and you can see the actual commands if you go down here. For example, this is show video, and this just draws the iframe. This is show playlist, and this is what gets the YouTube feed and draws out the playlist. And you can make changes to that if you know how to do PHP. This is the section that shows the meta tag. You can see where I have it generate the descriptions and all that. Again, this is the very first program. I haven't really found bugs in it. There's some things I could do better. There's a lot of things I did too to also help with your SEO. And I'll explain that afterwards because the video will be getting longer. But if somebody just wants to get started and stop watching the video at some point, they don't have to watch the rest. So I'm almost finished with getting this set up, and then I'll go into the juicy stuff of it after. And then if you want to keep watching, you can. So there we go. That's the script. As you know, we already got that in the folder. Now, if this works the first time out, that'll be amazing because I didn't make any typos. That'd be awesome. So there we go. Now, I'm going to show you what that page looks like. So we're going to go here, and here's our adventures. This is the page that she already made. And as you can see, that's it. That's all it is. That's what she had. Now, I'm going to publish what I just did. And you can see that all I have to do is go upload to FTP host. All right, it's done uploading. Let's see what happens. Hit refresh. This is my default video. I'll show you that change. So there's my default video based on that value I put. I got to move this up a little. Looks like I got that off center.
Okay, never mind.
But
that's dumb.
There's this playlist that I selected.
Hey everybody, we are
and I got that a little long.
But
But you get the idea. There you go. So on the main home page, I set my default video as this video. These videos aren't showing because I just uploaded them and they're not published yet, so that's the only reason why that thumbnail's all jacked up. You can see how the scrolling takes effect with a long title. And there's my playlist. And I can click on any of these, and it reloads the page. You can see here, I'll go into that a little later. It reloads the page. There's the video, new description, new title, same playlist. I can go to the next page. Keeps the same video, and you can adjust if you don't want this to autoplay and all that stuff. Right now you have to actually edit the show video part of the function because I don't have a variable for that, but you get the idea. So there's the video. Now the cool part is, let's stop this from talking. The cool part is you see all this content here, okay? Now, while this would never show in the source code because it's a JavaScript, basically, if I show you the source of this, no, I don't want to save it. If I show you the source of this, everything is in it. So, for example, Destiny. There it is. There's the video for Destiny. There's the descriptions. There's everything. All this is actually content in the HTML code, which means Google will index it. Now, real quick before you go into the deep stuff, I did want to show one other thing. So let's go back here, and we're going to go back to in this file here. You'll notice in the notes I had. You can also do an include as default settings file, and then in your header file you only have to change the defaults. So what you could do is rather than pasting all this code here in the header in Muse, you could paste basically this include, an include for a config file. The config file would contain all these values. It would contain all this. And like I say, I'm not going to teach you on PHP. I'm hoping you have an idea of what I'm talking about. If you don't understand, just do it the way I've shown you, and just do it the simple way of I've shown you. And that'll work, and you don't have to know PHP. But if, say, you want to have default things that you're going to use for every page, like for me, I'm going to go with the default idea because I'm probably not going to have different style sheets for each page. They're probably going to be all the same for most of them. So I could copy all these settings into one file and call it config. And then I would include that file, and then after I include it, then I would put only the variables in here that I want to be different than what's ever in this config, and then I would do the include of the functions. Again, I'm not going to get too in depth with that. I'll probably make better ways of doing that and embedding this all into Muse as I go and develop it, but this would get you started now if you wanted to go down that road. But you can use all the instructions I gave you already to just get this going. Again, as you can see, here is the default video. You just go to YouTube and you get your video ID. Now, if you don't know what that is or how to get that, let me just show you real quick. Every video has a video ID. Every channel has every playlist has an ID. So just pick your playlist and pick your video. And up. All right. So right here where it says list, that is your playlist ID. Right here where it says V equal, between that and there, that is your video ID. So you simply take that information and you would put it, I can close this. So then you'll take your playlist ID and you'll paste it there, and your video ID, and you'll paste it there. Now I'm going to just do one quick pass through. This is the latest edition of this. The rest of the footage I actually recorded about 2 weeks ago. So this is the latest config. Again, this just sets your styles. Again, you'll paste your video playlist and your ID basically as I showed you in the previous little clip there. Then we have a backup playlist. The reason I have this is because sometimes YouTube API does not send you all the videos. It messes up, and say you ask for 16 videos and it'll send 10. And so the script will just assume that it's the end of your list. So what I've done is I made a backup feed. This can be wherever you want. You just put the, you can change your username here. You can change this feed to whatever you want. Now this one's actually hard-coded to mine, but you can just change the username if you want. And it just kind of helps fills those gaps, so if the YouTube API messes up, you'll still get the rest of your feed after the screw up on the next page. So that's the point of that. Again, iframe settings. This is where for the video itself. I also have here table column width is 200 pixels. There's going to be 4 columns wide. The number of items on each page in the playlist, I just did table columns times table columns. So if I say 4 columns, there'll be 16 items a 4x4 grid. But if you only wanted it to be a 4x3 grid or whatever, you would just say 4 columns, but you would put 12 items, and then it would only be a 4x3 grid. So that's how that works. I've added a few things since the initial video that I recorded. I also found out that YouTube tends to cache. Sometimes the feed breaks, so I've added page and image caching. What I've done the image caching for, if you do not set these URLs, the script will continue to work, but it'll pull everything live from YouTube at all times and redirect to the image that's on YouTube for the thumbnail. However, if you have created a image folder that applies to this, if you create that YouTube image folder in your public HTML or whatever name you want to give it, it will actually download the thumbnail and save it to your folder on your server with a image name that matches the title. This is going to allow for all your thumbnails now to be indexed by Google as image on the image search that would then link back to your page. This is only possible if you use this. That's the only reason I have this. You could just simply just leave these values the way they are, never create this directory, and it'll always just keep the images directed from YouTube. So that's the way you disable it, is you just don't create that directory. This is the URI, in other words, not the full URL, but I want it to go to YouTube images, so there you go. Feed cache. Basically, any of the API pages that we pull down from YouTube, because say you have the search engine is spidering your page after you hit YouTube so many times, because the search engine is relentlessly spidering your site, YouTube might not feed you a page, and then your next page option doesn't work, and then it won't index all your videos. So what I've done is I've put in caching of the API, so it'll store all that those API feeds into just files on your server under the feed cache folder. And then I have a refresh time, so that's the time to live. So after 8,600, yeah, after a day, that's in seconds, it will then update your YouTube image and refresh any of those feeds. So again, if you don't create these folders, it will just always pull it live from YouTube, just like any other script out there as far as how to continue to feed. But if you create these folders, they will now be cached on your server. You want to make sure that your server can write to them. So depending on how your server is configured, you may have to make them world readable, world writable, which would be chmode 777, all plus read write. You know, if you're an FTP client, it'll require some literacy. Now, some servers these days are actually running in a mode to where the web server actually runs as your username, and so all you'll have to do, like on my server, is just create the folder name and it will work. Again, you will have to, it may or may not work, but it won't break the script if it doesn't. You could create those folders, and if you don't see anything going into them, then you know, well, you have to figure out how to do that on your server. You could ask a comment. I'll try to help you. I've been doing this for a long, long time, so I can probably figure out what the problem is you're having. So feel free to post a comment if you have any questions or would like that to work. Again, site name and Twitter name, that's for the OG tags and the meta tags and all that stuff. A few things I wanted to mention too is on the page, some of the features I've added to it in addition to the caching. We'll just go to this main page here, is I am able to get YouTube meta tags. They took the, not meta tags, keyword meta tags. They took the tags, the YouTube tags, out of the API and made it not visibly seeable, which I don't get what purpose of that was. It absolutely serves no purpose, because you can just grab the tags right from the meta tag keywords in the web page, and you've got your meta tags. So initially, you'll notice I put a little note there saying that now you don't have to have the meta tag keywords in your Muse project, because we can generate them. So for example, this video, if I look at the source,
keywords. So my last name, all the stuff on that video. Those are the tags for that video that I put on YouTube. So my software will get all the other stuff it can from the API, and then for the meta tags, it just actually pulls up the video page, the web page itself, and just grabs the keyword meta tag. So we have meta tags. So you don't have to generate any of that. Again, if you just remove the show meta tags option from your header in Muse, you can then set all your tags manually. So you can override that. But if you use the show meta tags feature, this is what it gives you. It gives you your keywords. I also set up canonical name so that any of the pages that have the page number behind them, it just assures that YouTube is not going to go index all those extra pages. It knows that they're all the same. Also, we have the descriptive title. Having everything with slashes really serves no purpose for SEO. All it does is look friendly for a user. I don't know about you, but I don't remember URLs. If it's something I like, I bookmark it. I'm really not going to type in a URL regardless if it has slashes, or question marks. I'm not going to type any of that crap, regardless of how it looks. I'm not going to remember it. So, and a search engine doesn't care. A search engine doesn't care if you have a question mark here or ampersand there. It doesn't care. As long as this URL is nice and clean and has very little extra stuff like 20 million parameters, you're fine. So again, basically I have the index with a descriptive title to help it get indexed. Also the canonical name, make sure we don't end up with duplicate entries into the search engine. Also, because mine, I do have that image folder created, it's downloaded the YouTube image, it's cached for a day. The thumbnail will update the next day if I make changes to it. But there you go. The thumbnail actually has a file name now that's descriptive to the video. And this way, when YouTube indexes your images, that thumbnail will actually be linked back to your site. So extra points there for the SEO. The description, again, that's all part of this. Here's all your OG tags for Facebook, for the Facebook share, your YouTube, Twitter share. We also go ahead and set the snippets. So basically there's the snippets for the page. That's all created automatically by using that show headers. And that's all done on the fly. Now, some other things that we have going on here along with that is when you get down to the actual playlist area, right here, again, you will see that I have, there's the video, that's the iframe to include the video. But you will see that we have for the image tag, let me find it, actually I'm not far enough, here we go to one that's a little easier. So there's the image. I mean, this is the page of the video. This is the image of the video with your nice name there. You will also see I have the snippets as well. I set the is an article, and then basically we have all the snippets are created for each one of these automatically. So basically that's all generated for you on the playlist. I use also a cookie to store the last video you're watching. So in other words, say I switch to this video here. Okay. So now we are watching this video. Now, I didn't want it to have 20 million pages for each video, so when you click next page, the URL is only going to have a page number in it because, again, we've got 12 pages, and I didn't want 12 pages with this video tile, and 12 pages with another video tile, and 12 pages with another video tile for the title for the next pages. So I don't store the video you're watching in the URL. It's set by a cookie using JavaScript. Again, I use JavaScript to set the cookie because this is embedded in a Muse project, and you can't use PHP set cookie command unless it's wrapped around the project from the get-go and able to set the headers. So I use JavaScript to set the cookie. So the JavaScript sets the cookie, and I can go to the next page, and notice I don't have a big long URL with the title for that video for the next page. This way Google won't have a bunch of duplicate pages, but it still kept the last video that I was watching from the previous page, because I haven't picked a video again. I've just switched to the next page. So that takes care of that. Again, probably before I actually upload this to YouTube, I'm going to add one other parameter there to turn autoplay off in the settings we were just going through. So you'll see autoplay, and it'll probably be off or on, and you can change that so autoplay will be off. I definitely need to. I like the autoplay on, but I could see how a lot of people may not, and they may not want to make changes to the code. So you'll see that in there by the time you see this video. Let's see. So we've taken care, we've covered that. We've covered thumbnails, and we covered, yeah, I think we got everything. So like if we go to the cooking page, and I think that pretty well covers it all. It pretty much, I put in here everything I could think of we'd need for SEO purposes at this point, to prevent duplicate pages. Oh, I did add one other thing, is if you share, you can't put tags in your Facebook videos. If you just share a page, Facebook took the option of actually including tags in the comment box. So obviously if you're sharing it on your Facebook, you kind of want to put all those tags, right? Because now it's going to be easier to find for people that use the tags on Facebook. So what I've done is I've made a mode called full descriptions. And full description mode is specifically for you as the site owner, and it's not authenticated or anything because it's not a huge deal. Search engines won't find it, but you type long description. You can add full descriptions. So we'll go to the main page, / long descriptions on. And I made that little command there, and the whole point of that is so that you have an easy, quick way, and you can turn this on or off. Again, it's not secure. It doesn't need to be secure. It's just a better way of showing your descriptions for you as the administrator to post your pages to your Facebook or your Facebook. So you say long description on. Now, anywhere you browse, the description box is going to show something easy to cut and paste. You can turn long descriptions off, but basically, the description box has your title. The next thing it has is the URL to the video. So if you have other URLs in here, Facebook will automatically pick the first one when it embeds the page into your post. It's going to pick the first URL. So that's why I have your URL first. So we have your title, the URL to your page where the video is at, then your full description, and then I take at the bottom, I've converted all your keywords from the meta tags basically into hashtags. I've taken out the spaces and I convert them to hashtags. So when you post this on Facebook, copy, it's ready to go. It'll embed your video. It has all your hashtags. And so you can go through now and you can pick any of your videos. And
oh, that's actually a semi overview.
Again, here's the next one. So there's all my hashtags for that one. So it's ready to go, ready for you to paste right to your Facebook account. Everything you need. And again, you can just turn off long descriptions so that when you want to look at your page, so that you make sure it looks right when you've made changes in Muse or whatever, you can turn off long descriptions, and so it goes back to normal. So that long descriptions feature is just, to make things easier. Now this is basically my first version of this. So this is what I put in my first version. I know it's probably not the prettiest of code. I plan on maybe putting it all into a class. There's a lot of other modules I want to build. For example, there is a correct way to put a WordPress blog, and I don't want to use a WordPress blog for my page. I'm sorry. WordPress is fine, but frankly, I think it's got a lot of huge security issues, which annoy the heck out of me. I also don't want to deal with the limitations of the templates and having to deal with that. My daughter is the one I'm having her learn how to do Muse, and slowly we'll teaching her PHP and HTML and stuff over time. But she's starting with Muse. Also, Muse isn't bad. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have better things to do than type code HTML all day for a hobby. It's like, why would I do that? If you learn how to use Muse as a tool and you use some features like this, you pretty much make it do anything you want anyway. So even if I mean, I can type HTML manually, but what's the point? So with that being said, you can take this with Muse, with this code that I'm building now, you will be able to actually embed correctly so that it's actually part of your page, your blog from WordPress, right into your Muse page, the same way I've done this, without having to rename your files and a lot of extra work. You'll just be able to paste commands and put in sections of your blog right into here. I can password protect the page, the directory that WordPress is in, so it's not accessible to anyone on the outside world. It's just not. The whole WordPress site would be isolated. In fact, if I wanted to, I could make it only accessible by one IP. It doesn't matter. I don't have to deal with any of that security issues. I could use that to post my blogs. I could use that for all my content. And then I would put simple little scripts here that would call that and embed it into my HTML source so that it does get indexed, so that it does serve a purpose to have a blog with your site and not as a separate entity, and so that it does a lot better than putting it in an iframe. So there is a correct way to do this with Muse, and those are some of the things I'm building. I'm building them for myself. Please share my videos. Please do that, because that'll help, encourage me to keep doing this for you guys. And again, I'm doing it for myself too, but I'll keep pumping these scripts out for anybody to use. If you like and share and support my my channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, thank you, and you guys have a good day.